Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV with your NBA playoff Fade the Public edition for this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, April the 22nd and 23rd. Going to look at all the Saturday games for you, also an advanced Sunday game right here on this video, give you analysis, let you know where I think the edges are, and most importantly, if we see some public sentiment, since this is NBA Fade the Public edition, I'll let you know that as well. Quick reminder that it has been a fantastic 2023. Quite simply, just fantastic. Number one ranked NBA, number one ranked MLB, both this calendar year in 2023. So if you've missed out, it's not too late to get on board and take advantage of, once again, that 30-day special. I'm going to bring it back. We did this last week. I know many of you got on board. By the way, as we head into Friday night when I record this video, we have not missed a best bet this week. 100% run this week on NBA and MLB best bets, and that's part of that number one ranking overall for both sports in 2023. Normally, 1 month of the NBA is 179. 1 month of MLB is 189. You don't have to decide. You can get them both for just 199. It's an instant $100 discount, but you have to have the promo code SM30PASS when you select the 30-day All Sports All Access. Now, normally 30 days All Sports is $299. You get an instant $100 discount. For just $199, you get my number one ranked NBA, number one ranked MLB for the next 30 days and nights. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Got to use checkout code SM30PASS for that 30-day all access. All right, let's get to the 4 games on Saturday, and then I'm going to look at a bonus game on Sunday. Now, I'm doing this video on Friday afternoon. The 3 Friday games have not taken place. 3 of those games are also going to be the Sunday games. We have 1 Sunday game locked up, but we have all 4 Saturday games ready to go. First 2 are on TNT Saturday afternoon. The nighttime 2 games are on ESPN. And as is typical with the NBA, they're having some game 4s before they have game 3s. And they seem to do this quite often as they want to get the preferred TV matchups. So the 2 daytime games are game 4s. The 2 nighttime games are games 3. And we very well most likely will have a series done before other game 3s even take place. And that's because the first game on Saturday is the biggest mismatch in the entire playoffs, in my opinion. And that's the 3-seed 76ers against the 6-seed Nets. Philadelphia, not surprisingly, is up 3-0 in this series. And teams up 3-0 normally do win game 4 and sweep the series, and that's why we see Philly as a 5.5-point favorite. Keep in mind, they opened as just a 4-point favorite in game 3. Home teams down 0-2 normally do pretty well. That line actually closed 5, and the Nets lost by just 5. They did put up a good fight, but they know it's done now. In fact, 147 times in the NBA playoffs, we've had a team down 0-3, and never has that team come back. In fact, only 3 times had they even forced a game 7, and only I believe 14 times have they forced a game 6. So it's not a question of who's going to win this series. It really never was. But Philly looks like they'll get the sweep. By the way, if you remember last week when I previewed the first round, all 8 games, I mentioned Philly, what was it, minus 2.5 on the adjusted series price. I think it was minus 150, minus 160. I recommended that here in the video. That's looking pretty good. Even if they don't win this game, they still win 4-1. They cover. No sports book is going to allow you to take Philly to win the series now. In fact, those lines are down everywhere. I did see that FanDuel had Brooklyn at 55-1 to come back to win the next 4 games, but they won't let you take the other side with Philly. And once again, it's never happened in NBA playoff history, and it's sure not going to happen with the Brooklyn Nets team that would not even be in the playoffs had Durant and Irving not played the first half of the season. So this game's a complete mismatch, and not surprisingly, it looks like the public is leaning towards Philadelphia in this one. Once again, it's an inflated line, but historically, teams do not win when they're down 0-3. One other thing I'll point out with the total in this game is that also we normally see a little bit of a bump towards the over in games 4 when it's a 3-0 series because the defense usually becomes a little lackadaisical and goes out the window. On this line, currently 208.5, which is actually lower than the game 1s and 2 lines of 213 and 212. 209 for game 3, Atlanta at 199. We have seen the under in the last 2 games after an over in game 1, but once again, with very little to play for both teams, you might see more offense than expected. So keep an eye on where that total goes. The public is leaning towards the over and Philadelphia in this game. Once again, at 1 o'clock Eastern, this series very well over before the other teams even play on Saturday. The other game 4 Saturday afternoons at 3:30 Eastern, also on TNT, and that's a very competitive series, at least it has been so far. Phoenix and LA Clippers. And coming in, the Phoenix Suns, despite being the 4 seed, were the number 1 favorite to win the Western Conference. Golden State, the 6 seed, was the 2nd favorite. Denver, the 1 seed, was only the 3rd favorite. Yet Phoenix came out and lost game 1 last Sunday as a 7.5-point home favorite. But they have responded. In fact, they didn't look good in game two either. That game, they were losing this first half, ended up tied at halftime, but they have rolled since. They outscored the Clippers by 14 points in the second half of game two. We cashed the best bet, part of that 100% run here this week. And also, Phoenix got it done in game three, winning by 5. But keep in mind, they closed as high as a 7.5-point favorite. So they're still just 1-2 against the spread. And that was with the big comeback in game two to cover. So while Phoenix most likely will go on to win this series and probably wins game four here, it has been a competitive series, and the Clippers have covered 2 of the 3. This line is a little more reasonable, obviously, at the 5.5 range. As we head into the weekend, it's 5 in many of the Vegas books, but some of the leading indicator offshore international books are 5.5. So it does look like there's some sharp money. There's a sharp money lean on the Phoenix Suns in this one. As far as the public sentiment, pretty neutral in this game. So I'd say the public is pretty neutral here. Once again, I think they probably want to play Phoenix, but they're a little gun shy since the Suns have only covered 1 of the 3 games. So once again, not a huge public lean, but it does look like the sharp money early on has come in on the Phoenix Suns, and I don't disagree. They're my preferred side here. Obviously, off back-to-back wins, it's not a great setup as you like to take a good team off a loss like we did with Phoenix in game 2. But the fact that they did not cover, and they, by the way, did not cover that game 3, as I said, despite winning. They had a 3-point halftime lead, only won by 5, did not cover with the inflated 7.5. It's now obviously a shorter number due to personnel here in game 4. So I do think there's some value with the Phoenix Suns, and I would agree with that early sharp money move. As far as the total in this game, game 1 landed right on 225. It landed on the closing total. The other 2 games have both gone over, and they've been in the 225 to 227 range. We now see 226.5. So despite all overs so far, or at least no unders so far, not much of an adjustment. And I think the reason being is that that high-scoring 253-point game in Game 3 was a little misleading as both teams shot lights out, especially from three-point range, making 25 threes out of 62, hitting 43 and 37% from 3. Look for maybe a little bit more defense after 2 bad defensive showings, and I think that's why we've actually seen the total come down a little bit despite the high-scoring game in the last couple games in this series. All right, those are your 2 daytime games. We also have 2 Saturday night games, both on ESPN. I'm going to get to those game 3s for you in just a moment. Quick reminder, if you want my number 1 ranked NBA, if you want my number 1 ranked MLB in 2023, you don't have to decide which one you want to get. NBA's 179, baseball's 189 for 30 days. Get them both for just $199, but you have to have the promo code SM30PASS. SM30PASS. Select the 30-day all access on my page. It's normally $299, but when you enter that promo code SM30PASS at checkout, you get an instant $100 discount and get the next 30 days and nights of basketball and baseball for just $199. Number 1 in both sports this year at WagerTalk.com, and we keep it rolling. Haven't missed a best bet this week. We enter Friday night on a perfect 100% run, and the NBA playoffs are hitting 80% overall. Baseball hitting 73% this year. Why wait any longer? Get the next 30 days and nights and make some money with promo code SM30PASS. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Don't forget you can get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. All right, we got 2 more games for Saturday, both on the nighttime card, both on ESPN. Both are game 3s. And we have Milwaukee at Miami. Now, Milwaukee was the biggest favorite in this first round to win the series. They were a 1-13 favorite. Boston was an 11-1 favorite, a 1-11 favorite. And the 76ers was just a 1-9 favorite. Once again, I thought that was the biggest mismatch. That's another reason I liked Philly minus the 2.5 games in that series. Milwaukee, though, loses Giannis early in game 1. I thought it was a great spot to play the best team against the weakest team, and they lost outright. But, of course, we came right back with a strong best bet on Milwaukee in game 2 the other night, and that was an easy winner. One of the reasons that we were 100% perfect this week was that best bet on the Milwaukee Bucks, and it was never close. Final score was a 16-point margin, but they were up by, 30 going into the fourth quarter. They were up by 26 at the half. It was a complete blowout. Milwaukee was able to take their foot off the gas and coast in that fourth quarter and still win by 16. Now, historically speaking, one of my favorite plays in the NBA playoffs is to play teams off a blowout loss. It works better when it's over 20 points. So technically, Miami does not qualify, but I still consider this a blowout loss as they're down by over 30. But once again, the modified zigzag, we've talked about this. The zigzag does not blindly work in the NBA playoffs. And that, of course, for the new viewers out there, new bettors, the zigzag concept is just play the opposite of what happened the previous game. You know, a team loses, you play in the next game. It goes over, you play under the next game. It's not that simple, and that's not going to make you money. What makes you money is the modified zigzag, and quite simply, the best form of the modified zigzag is playing the better team, or at least a quality team, off a loss. That's not the case here with the Miami Heat. So, despite the blowout, Miami's not the team I'm looking to back in this series. It's a complete mismatch, and the fact that it's a 1-1 series, it's still a very important pivotal game three, which means Milwaukee's not going to overlook this game. We're getting the much better team at a short price, minus the 4.5 to 5. We got to keep an eye on the injury report. This is Saturday night. I'm doing the video on Friday afternoon. And once again, I wish it would have been a more competitive game, because historically blowout lost teams are a good play, but I don't think I want anything to do with Miami in this game. Milwaukee's the preferred side, and they should still be focused with the series at 1-1. As far as the public sentiment in this game, as is often the case after a blowout in the NBA playoffs, the public comes right back with that team. It's going to be very hard for the public to get behind the Miami Heat after seeing them get shellacked on national TV. So not a surprise that the public is leaning towards the Milwaukee Bucks. This is probably the most public side on Saturday. And once again, we'll have to keep an eye on the injury reports. And by the way, I'm doing this video right now on Friday afternoon, 24 hours before the games are played. And as I'm doing this, the WagerTalk live odds screens, Phoenix just went from 5.5 up to 6 in many spots. So once again, check the lines when you play these games on Saturdays. I'm doing it a day early, so I wanted to get this video out for you on Friday so you have some time to watch it and take advantage of all the information. But once again, these lines are jumping around on Friday afternoon, so keep an eye on where they are at game time on Saturday. As far as the total here in this Milwaukee-Miami matchup, obviously Giannis getting hurt early in game one. We can't read too much into that high-scoring game. Soared over the total. Game two also soared over 260 points. Once again, that was a blowout. So we haven't really had a true game yet. So those two overs could be a little bit misleading, but teams have shot lights out from the field. There's been no defense so far in the first two games of this series. And this total's been bumped about a point higher from game two. It's now 220.5 for game three. That's Milwaukee, Miami, 7:30 Eastern, Saturday night on ESPN. The late game is probably the most competitive series here in round one, at least according to the future odds when the series began last weekend. The Lakers were the smallest size dog of any series. And obviously, they're a very dangerous 7 seed with LeBron and Anthony Davis healthy. Heading into the playoffs, they had the second best record overall in the league after the trade deadline. They made some great additions, some role players as well. So the Lakers are a very dangerous team in this series. And this should be a competitive 6 or 7 game series. It's tied 1-1. This is a pivotal game 3. And the Lakers, for that reason, are a solid 4.5 to 5 point home favorite. And I don't disagree. I think they're the better team in this series. They won game 1, obviously a tight game last Sunday. It was 128-112, but they were trailing at the half. It was tight until later in that game, and then the Lakers pulled away with an impressive 16-point win, outscoring the Grizzlies by 22 points in the second half. But they did not carry that momentum into game 2 on Wednesday night, and they lost outright by 10. Were trailing by 15 at the half. So really, both games we've seen runs by teams and we've seen blowout by teams at different times. Pivotal game 3, I'd side towards the team off the loss back home and probably the better overall team despite being the 7 seed, and that's the LA Lakers here minus the 4.5. As far as the public sentiment in this, a little too early as we head into the night game here, but I'd say if I had to guess which way the public is leaning, not guess, but for one of my early indicators, it looks like there's a light lean in the Lakers. When this tips off at 10 o'clock Eastern, I think it might be a heavier public lean in the Lakers as we see more weekend money come in, especially in Las Vegas, where we get a lot of LA money over the weekend. So once again, there's a lean towards the Lakers now, but my guess is that it's going to become more of a public play by Saturday night. So the 4.5s out there very well might become 5s in more locations. So once again, public's going to be on the Lakers in this game. We see that early on. I think it's going to become more strong as we get closer to tip-off on Saturday night. That's the Grizzlies-Lakers, a late game at 10 o'clock Eastern on Saturday evening. As far as the total in this game, first game went over with 240 points. Second game was well under 196, stayed under the total by nearly 30 points. That was a 225.5. We now see 220.5, so substantial adjustment down after game 2 to the under here. We'll see if it was an overreaction or not. Lakers have been a pretty good defensive team here in the last month or so, something that's got a little bit lost overall. First game went over because the teams shot 53 and 47% from the field. Second game flew under because they shot 43 and 41. Both have been well above and below the averages for the season. We'll see where game 3 plays out on Saturday night. All right, now I'm doing this video once again on Friday. We have 3 games taking place tonight on Friday. Those 3 games will also play again on Sunday. Those teams will play again on Sunday. So we only have one matchup locked up right now, and that is game 4 between the Kings and the Warriors. But I want to touch on that one quickly here as we head out, as it's a fascinating matchup. Golden State, as I said earlier, was the number 6 seed, but they're the second favorite overall to win the conference behind the 4 seed Suns, both of which are ahead of the number 1 seed Nuggets. And that's because Golden State had a lot of injuries. Players missed this season, but with the full lineup healthy, they're a dangerous squad. Draymond Green suspended in game 2. It didn't matter. We still had a strong best bet Thursday night on the Golden State Warriors. Yet another winner for my number 1 ranked NBA here in 2023, and part of that 100% perfect run this week in both baseball and basketball as we head into Friday night. And the Warriors are in a great bounce back spot. Whenever I can get the better team off 2 losses back at home, it's a play. And the Draymond situation actually lowered the line a little bit for us. So we got a fair price because teams down 0-2 historically have been very strong at home in games 3. And that's how it played out, of course, on Thursday night with the Warriors winning by 17, up by 12 at the half, pulled away and won by 17, really never in doubt. And that was with them shooting just 40% from the field and only 16 for 50, 32% from three-point range. They still won by 17 points, and that's because they just had tremendous shutdown defense. It gets lost with all their high-profile scorers like Curry, Klay Thompson, that Golden State's always been a pretty good defensive team. And I know they've been really weak on the road this year, 11-32 on the road, but they're 34-8 at home. And it's actually not because they shoot that much better. They shoot a couple points higher, as most teams do at home. Their defense has actually been the biggest difference between home and road splits. They play with more intensity defensively at home, and we definitely saw that in game 2 on Thursday night. The Kings have to win with offense. They're not a good defensive team. Very good offensive team, not good defensively. They also don't have experience. In fact, on the season, the Kings are giving up 49% shooting from the field and 37% from 3. So you got to expect Golden State to shoot better than just 40% and 32% beyond the arc, and they still won by 17. So it's an inflated number here. The situational bounce back spot is not as good, obviously, off the win. Same 7.5-point line. And it's funny. It really comes down to how good you think the Kings are, because normally the higher seeded team off a loss in game 3 as a dog in game 4 has been money in the bank for decades. One of my favorite plays in the NBA playoffs. The problem is it's misleading here because Golden State is the better team. So even though Sacramento fits a really good situational setup historically, have to take it with a grain of salt here because I don't think it's accurate, because once again, Golden State is the better team. They were a 2.5 to 1 favorite to win this series. The second favorite, as I mentioned, overall to win the conference. Question is, can they win by more than 7.5? Because they are coming off a convincing win. And the Kings are in a historically good bounce back spot. So we'll see what happens in this game on Sunday. And by the way, this game, I believe, is on TNT Sunday. It is your 3:30. I'm sorry, ABC. The 2 late games are going to be TNT Sunday night. This game is ABC national TV at 3:30 Eastern. 7.5 Golden State, the favorite. Total is 238.5. And once again, they have to have high totals because Sacramento is all offense, no defense. First 2 games were 237.5, 239, over and under. Last game was 240.5, soared under, as I mentioned, with just 211 points. Now this one has been bumped down about a basket, down to 238.5. So we'll see how it plays out on Sunday afternoon. Kings need offense, but the Golden State defense, once again, has been better at home this year. And that's one of the reasons they're 34-8 straight up at home, 29-13 against the spread, by the way, 15-24 to the under, versus on the road where they're 29-12 to the over. So see, that's the difference. It's not just the 1-loss record. The defense has been the difference home and away. Golden State had a shutdown defensive game on Thursday in game 3. We'll see if they keep it going on Sunday afternoon in game 4. All right, those are the 5 games for Saturday and Sunday. We don't have the matchups or the lines yet for the other games on Sunday. Check back this weekend to get all my official best bets for both Saturday and Sunday pro basketball, especially those Sunday games. Wasn't able to analyze them for you here because they're playing Friday night. So if we have any best bets, we'll have them posted for you. Don't forget free plays on a daily basis as well. Free plays have done quite well this year. In fact, those are games, as you know from baseball, that are just a bit outside from making the cut. Well, when you're number 1 ranked in MLB, number 1 ranked in the NBA for 2023, and you average just 1 to 2 best bets per day, 100% this week, I believe in quality over quantity. That means those free plays are pretty darn good as well, because they're my last cut and they've got a mathematical edge. So check out the free plays daily on my page. And don't forget, when you're ready to make some serious money with my best bets, my number 1 ranked best bets, get 30 days and nights. Basically, it's a 2-for-1 special. You don't have to decide if you want basketball or baseball. You get them both for basically just $10 more with promo code SM30PASS. 30 days and nights of all sports, every NBA and MLB best bet for the next 30 days and nights for just $199. It's an instant $100 discount off the normal rate. but you got to use promo code SM30PASS at checkout. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. Hey, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Steve Merril. You know the drill. 2 R's, 1 L at Steve Merril on Twitter. And follow along all week on numerous shows here on Wager Talk TV. Another reason to hit the bell for instant alerts after you subscribe to know when these shows and videos go live on a daily basis. Thumbs up, like if you found this useful, and most importantly, leave me comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the Saturday and Sunday NBA playoff games where you agree or disagree with the public, and let me know how you think these games will play out this weekend as well. By the way, I didn't see a ton of public sentiment in that Golden State-Sacramento game. Realize I just forgot to mention that. I would expect a little bit of a lean towards Golden State to win on the money line, but once again, that line is pretty inflated, so wouldn't be surprised to see the public neutral in that one as far as Sunday goes. Didn't see too much info on that one. Check back all week long for shows here on Wager Talk TV. Leave me comments below. Let me know your thoughts on these games. And if any questions, if you have handicapping questions, throw those in as well. I'll be happy to answer them. I read all the comments. I reply back. I love the support. Let's win together. Have a great week and enjoy the games. Best of luck. And I'll talk to you again soon right here on Wager Talk TV.